Hey everybody, I'm Danny Alvarez and that's Gino Kalura and this is Unstoppable Me, Unfiltered. How you doing, brother?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I want everyone to know that was our fourth take, right, to get that intro right. But now that Danny is not tongue-tied anymore, we're ready for the show.
And this is how we're going to start the show?
This is how we're,
someone's going to literally
that
pick
we're
up
on
this
today.
show
100%.
and have never seen us and been like, oh, I can't wait to watch another 30 minutes of that dribble.
And it is dribble, 100%.
All right. What are we talking about today?
Brother, actually, that's a great question. What are we talking about today?
Something that is very hard for you to do, which is talk less and do more.
Now that coming from you, what to do with that? What to even do with that, sir? So yes, talk less and do more.
It's very hard for both of us. Can we just say that? Can we just
Hence
say
why
that?
we have a podcast and we're talking.
That's it. That's exactly
talk less
right.
and do more. Right? Where to begin with this, Danny? Right? I mean, like this is a quintessential topic that you and I speak to quite a bit, right?
Yeah.
Be a man of action. Be someone that knows what follow through is, knows what consistency is, and knows the value of your word, right?
Yeah. So when you think talk less and do more, like what comes to mind? Like what are the basic principles that hit you?
It's that old school thing, right? So don't talk about it, be about it. And what that means for me is, words. Okay, life and death, power of the tongue, right? Words are very powerful, but words also are very powerful in self-destruction. And what I mean by that is this: if you are someone that is going to profess and say things, but you don't follow through on what you're stating and what you're saying, what is the value of what it is that you're saying? Now, if you're someone that you actually do follow through on everything that you say, man, keep talking, right? But if you're not, press pause, press the stop button, and understand that your actions are going to speak 10 times louder than your words ever will.
Have you ever run into somebody who you're like, this dude will not shut up?
All the time.
Always has an idea, always has a thing.
Yes.
And then it just turns out to be hot air.
100%.
When you are a leader
Yes.
and you are that guy, what are the repercussions downstream?
Trust. So let's just start with that. When you're talking to someone and it is a stream of hot air with no follow through, where do I even begin to trust that you're going to follow through on what it is that you committed to? Because that's what we're talking about here, right? Like your ability to commit. Your words are directly tied to commitment. What you set as far as an expectation, if you don't live up to as a leader, especially, right? And definition of leadership, your ability to influence others to achieve a common objective. Brother, if you're going to influence me and I'm going to follow you, I have got to know when you tell me, hey, I'm going to be there at 2, you're going to be there at 2.
That's right.
Or when you tell me, gee, no matter what, I've got your back, you've got my back. And when I do make that call at 3:30 in the morning, you do pick up and you are at my doorstep 30 minutes later. Like those are things in this life that are priceless. But because of things like social media and because of things like what we see in marketing and different sorts of ploys that exist in this world, trust is a really hard thing when it comes to someone's word, right? Because we're so used to getting screwed over, right?
Yeah.
Like it's almost become an expectation,
That's super
right?
sad.
And you're constantly looking at where are the dangers, right? Like, can I really trust this person? And that's a natural human instinct, by the way. We're always sizing people up. That is normal.
And how do you earn that trust? Not by your words.
That's right.
But by your actions, right?
Yes.
So at some point we have to communicate. Like
Yes.
we're human beings. We're going to
Yes.
communicate. Hey, I'm going to do X. All right. The expectation is that whatever you said is actually going to get done. The degree at which you did it tells me the level of your character.
That's right.
But the fact that you are doing it or not doing it, it sets you apart in a manner that shouldn't. Like, do you realize how ridiculous this topic is
That's
to be
right.
talking about on a podcast?
100%.
We're literally, whenever we talk about this kind of stuff on stage, I almost feel like, why is someone paying me to talk about this? Isn't this like the most obvious,
the most fundamental thing?
We tell our little kids this, right?
Yes.
Don't lie.
That's right.
Do what you said. You do what you're told,
That's
and
right.
do what you say you're going to do.
That's it.
Like as Tony, like
Yeah.
my oldest is out there. The rules are really, really simple. Be a man of your word.
Yep.
Be a man of your word. If you say you're going to do something, not only do it, follow through, and
That's
make
right.
sure it gets done. You know who it strikes me, like now that I'm older and I'm 51 for everyone that doesn't know.
Young buck.
I'm a young
Come on
buck. Now that I'm older, like I look back and I realize like what are the kind of men groups, associations, people that I naturally bond with.
Yeah.
I'm not naturally attracted with, right? And it is a person that doesn't want credit for their work. They want their work to speak for them, you know?
need results, man.
Yeah. So like, for example, cops, firefighters, farmers.
That's right.
Right. These and ironically, these are groups that I champion, you know, in politics because they're the ones that let their work speak for them. And in a modern day world today where everyone's talking so much,
That's right.
like the tables are turned. The doer, like a cop, a firefighter, a farmer, a doer, is having to explain himself or herself because they let their actions speak for them. But the guy who's yapping and says, oh, I did X, I did so much on Instagram, that's the person everyone's actually following.
That's right.
Right? The world's upside down.
It is completely upside down.
I went to the sheriff's office. When I worked at the sheriff's office, part of my job was some sort of like political advice. I don't mean like Republican. It was like how to navigate the politics of a community. But the other one was telling the story of the police. And you would think we don't need that. In fact, cops that were older resisted and resented my presence because they were born in a world where they don't have to tell their story.
Absolutely.
Did I do my job, arrest bad guys, keep the community safe, and have no major incidents? If the answer to that is yes,
You're good.
I don't need a pat on
That's
my
right.
back.
That's
right?
right.
I'm going to go
That's
home.
the job.
You paid me.
Yes.
I did my job.
That's right.
But in 2025, hell, in 2017, when I got hired, if we weren't telling the story of those cops, then somebody else was.
God,
and they controlled the narrative in a manner that actually hurt
That's exactly
the doer.
right. Yes.
And the world's upside down.
Man, look, this is important, right? The power of stories. And I think this matters in a really big way when we were talking about the power of communication and follow through. You know, when you are coming up, and you have to think of the average young person, right, in America nowadays, when we talk about role models, where are they getting their role models from? What's the frame, right, that's being put around the picture that is that child, right? And from a mindset perspective, what are we establishing as this is what makes you a good American? This is what makes you a good human being. What are the lanes, right? Give me the boundaries. The challenge and what you're speaking to right now is it is ping pong. Bing, 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 bing. There is no homogeneity, right? There's no single line in which that value system is being reinforced. And so to your point,
right,
it's the Chihuahuas who are barking the loudest and everyone, the spotlight's on them. And then you have the people who are in the back who are doing the actual work and letting the actions speak for themselves, whose stories aren't told.
That's right.
And they don't want their stories told because they don't feel the need to have their story told. Right?
I don't need it.
Exactly. But that's exactly at the same time, given where we live and how we live, the community needs to hear that, right? And this is on an individual level as well. Like people need to know your story, but it's not that you go on and you write a book, which nothing wrong with that, right? But it's the nature in which you are communicating with others about who you are and what you stand for. I think that's the real big thing. I think the majority of us don't know what we stand for.
Ain't that a fact?
Right? Right. We're so torn. We're so ripped apart because there's so much information we have to sift through. Disinformation, right? How much stuff is out there that's fake news, right? It's just fake in general, fake information. And yet, because we don't know any better, we buy into it and we're overwhelmed. So now what becomes the value of data? I don't know. I really don't know because I don't know what data is trustworthy. Now apply that to human beings. If I've got a social group, I've got 15,000, 20,000 people on my Instagram or Facebook, and I have this feed that's pumping stuff all the time. How do I know what's what? Because 90% of the time, what they're posting, it's a facade.
That's right.
They're not being real.
That's exactly right. And it's what you said is vital. When you have an internal structure that says, I am fed by your liking me, that causes the entirely wrong chain of events
100%
to go down.
So
you say, hey, man, I really want to be liked by my group. I want to be seen as a leader. Let's just, since we're leadership focused, we'll focus it. I want to be liked as a leader.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say all the right things. I read these books. I listened to this podcast. And, Danny or Gino said, hey, reinforce this message and you'll be okay. It's completely hollow.
That's right.
And it's completely transparent. If you do that right? If you say the right things and don't do the right things. None of it, all of this is based on a pyramid, right? Where doing the right thing and doing the actual work that you said is the basis.
That's right.
We've already spent 15 or 20 minutes talking about almost the same thing here in order to reiterate to you will lose. You will lose. You think you win, you will lose. And your victories might be short-lived at the beginning. You're like, man, I feel good and they feel good because sometimes the receiver of the information has been trained the same way as you.
1000%.
Right? That it's all about the words. It's all about what I posted. Did I wear the right stuff?
right.
And none of that freaking matters.
No.
It is when it's time to eat, did the farmer grab the food out of the freaking ground and send it to you? Period.
And it's that old saying, right? Nobody needs a parachute to the planes going down. You don't know the value of that follow through, and you don't know the value of being someone true to your word until it's your butt on the line.
That's right.
And that's where I think, to your example, first responders, they get it.
That's right.
Because literally day in and day out, right? They have to follow through.
That's right.
People's lives are depending on it, right? For those of us who are not in that line of work, listen, you have to make a conscious decision. When I give you my word and it's not life or death, there's effort involved. I need to get up off my laurels and I need to come over and actually execute on that. But it shouldn't even be a discussion, right? That should be an understood expectation out the door. This is what makes you a good person. This is what makes you someone who is trustworthy and has respect, not just respect for the other person, but self-respect. Do you know how disrespectful it is to yourself to have all this coming out of your mouth with no follow-through? Or the follow-through is 50% of what you actually got? What does that say about the value of your name?
Yeah, but bro, like at some point, like it used to be this used to be and we're at a point where people aren't even embarrassed anymore. They have no shame that they had no follow through. They have no shame that they let down their team. They have no shame whatsoever that they could not carry the weight of their responsibility. You know what I mean?
Man, it's so true. Yeah, so I'll give you an example, and just to kind of, this is going to take us down a different rabbit hole, but from a follow through perspective, right? Your responsibility. What is your responsibility of being a good steward in your community, being a good leader? What does that mean? Look, in my mind, it's very simple. It's your ability to respond to circumstances that are thrown at you at any given day, any given time. How many examples, Danny, have you seen out there of footage, right, of an older person getting accosted or getting beat, and you've got young people just standing around
filming
with phones, filming, or they run the other way? Nobody steps up. Nobody understands that I have a responsibility here, right? As another good human being a good steward, right, to my community, I need to do something about this. It's the same with your word. Listen, if you're saying you're going to do something, hold yourself accountable. What is the measurement of accountability nowadays? Nobody cares.
That's it.
Right? But here's the thing. I always have to be really careful about this, especially when we do speaking engagements, because it doesn't mean hope is lost. I don't believe that at all, right? I just believe that an awakening has to happen to understand that, look, going back to the parachute analogy, it's all fun and games, all right, until your butt is on the line. And then when you are on the line, you're going to do a real good inventory of who is in your camp and who follows through and who doesn't. And listen, when you're in that mentality, that's who tells you the real ones are. That's who tells you, right? Like, I need to spend time nurturing that relationship and this relationship. And it's not all about quid pro quo. It should not be about that at all. It should be about the essence of the human being who's across from you, to your left, to your right, and behind you, that you know has your back no matter what.
Yeah, people know. Mm-hmm. People know.
They know. They do know.
They know.
Yes.
And the problem with always like being the guy that tries to do the right thing is like, if you're looking for like everyone needs some sort of recognition
and validation. 100%.
And validation.
Yes, 100%.
I don't give a dang if you are like the most stoic guy in the world. If someone goes, "Hey man, I saw you.
Yep.
Great job."
Yep.
Inside that person might be like, whatever, I just do my job.
No, man, but it feels good.
It feels good.
It's good. Yes.
Okay, so let's just baseline
that.
No,
100%.
Okay?
Yes.
If you have, the problem with being the person that does the right thing is that you never fully see the validation of always doing the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then it gets clouded.
That's right.
By watching the person that does the bad thing, the wrong thing, the undisciplined thing succeed.
That's right.
So ultimately, this is a level of maturity that you have to get to, which I'm not trying to claim like I'm the most like evolved person. But what I'm saying,
own it.
Yeah, okay. Oh, here we go. Evolution with Danny and Gino, episode non-existent. So, but you do have to get to a point where you have to be comfortable not hearing that you're good.
Oh, man.
Gino, you did great.
Oh,
you
man.
just have to go, I set out to do something. I accomplished it, and we helped someone. Good. I feel good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, like, ultimately you'll get little victories. Hey, man, I saw you. Hey, great job. Don't think I didn't, or they'll come later on.
Absolutely.
They'll come later on.
Do you know what's really fascinating about this, man, is I'll give you an example. When I finished my doctorate degree, right? Accomplishment, academic accomplishment, that's great. And that first year, I'm on cloud nine. Oh, Dr. Clore, Dr. Gino, right? And then you get to a point where like, I don't want to hear it anymore.
That's right.
I don't want to hear it anymore, right? Because truly, right, it's a box that I checked and a process that I went through, and I'm grateful for the opportunity, right, and the education it provided me. But it's got nothing to do, no bearing on the mission that I'm here
or
to
the character
serve, right?
of
100%, right?
It almost
honestly, it almost annoys me sometimes, right? To be quite honest with you, right? Like I don't, Doctor Nothing, right? Like, Gino, Danny, let's talk.
That's it.
Right? Like at the end of the day, two human beings showing up and having quality dialogue, quality interaction, and follow through coming out of that interaction, that's a beautiful thing. That is how we as a species, by the way, have survived and have become the dominant species, right? Throughout the entirety of all mammals, right? It's not because we're the strongest, we're the fastest, or we're the toughest, right? It's this and the power of word and what we can do to exchange complex ideas and follow through on those ideas.
Can I tell you something? Something you said just kind of jogged this thought. This is a leadership problem. And if it's a leadership problem, that means there's a leadership solution, okay? You have got to grow into a position where you say to yourself, we're going to bite what we can chew. We're going to say, or we're going to set our goals that are realistic. That doesn't mean you can't be lofty, right?
Right.
But they're realistic so that we can go to accomplishment. And then we're going to grow into that mission set. Too often, I'll watch leaders see a cancerous thing growing in their team, right? What's a cancerous thing? Someone with no follow through. All they do is talk. Someone who beats up on their teammates. Someone who gossips. Someone who fights. That person doesn't get counseled, right? Doesn't get spoken to, and the cancer grows.
That's right.
Then the cancer gets success.
That's right.
On a team where you said, where you said
That's right.
that your actions are important, your word is valuable, and we will operate as a team. When they don't excise the cancer, right? They validate the cancer.
100%.
They validate that problem.
That's right.
And that problem becomes a reflection of them and their leadership style. You want to kill a team?
That's it right there.
Don't get the cancerous person out.
Can I tell you how often, often, right? This is an issue that I run into, right? With organizations, right, that we work with. And the reason why I say that is because let's say you have, and I've seen this time and time again, a salesperson who's crushing it, right? On a dollars and cents perspective, but their interaction with their team members,
That's right.
poor character, right? No follow through, right? But they know that they'll close a deal. And ownership or executive leadership retains them and says, but they're making us so much money.
That's right.
I can't let them go.
That's exactly right.
That's a problem because it's a mistake.
It's a big mistake.
If you're operating in the realm of, listen, they're out there running and gunning, right? And they're closing deals, but at the same time, they're poisoning the well of the culture, right? And the importance of good communication, relationship management, and follow through internally with a team. That is going to be a short-lived run, right? And enjoy the deals when they close, because let me tell you, you're not going to have a workforce.
That's right.
12 months later, that's going to be able to do the fulfillment, right, of those deals being closed.
You have some big people that are listening here who have made a lot of money, like doing the opposite of what you say. They're like yelling at their screen. That guy doesn't know what he's talking about.
1,000%.
Right? That guy doesn't know. And the reality is what we're talking about is almost scientific. Okay.
No, it is.
You allow
It is. Yeah.
you allow that bad culture to spread.
Correct.
So you made your $1 million off that person.
Yep.
I hope you like it.
Yep.
Right? Because when you're going to make a cumulative 10 with a team that's firing on all cylinders, that's
right.
fully invested,
That's right.
that is inspired by your leadership, which means they're going to work when they don't have to.
Exactly.
They're going to give when they shouldn't.
Yes.
Right? And they're going to look the other way when they should be home, but they're giving it to you. That $1 million better last a long time,
That's
because
exactly
you're
right.
sacrificing 10 on the back end. But just because you don't see it, you're like, hey,
That's right.
I'm going to support that bad person, that liar,
Exactly.
that person that doesn't do the right thing, the gossiper. Yeah, I mean it. This this gets way under my skin.
And it's an incredible thing, right? Because people will mask it and it being good business because we're making money. That does not make you a successful organization. I want to be really clear about it because a lot of people think that from an expectation management perspective, just because you're profitable does not mean you have a healthy business.
That's right.
Or a healthy organization in general. Look, I mean, some of the talks in the work that's done with the military, it's no different.
That's right.
You're dealing with groups and tribes of people, right? And what it takes to have that follow through, what it takes to have that strong communication, that's top down. And if the top is saying what we actually value, right, it's the money that's coming in the door. It's really not about the people.
That's
but we
right.
say that we're people-centered.
Right.
Oh,
well,
man.
we're saying and not doing.
Thank you. 110%. And that is a huge driving element that we see a lot, right? But I do think we are seeing a time where, especially in a post-COVID world, your workforce is shifting and changing. And I think you are seeing people, employees, who are saying, look, that ain't going to work for me. Like, I actually need to have, I need to feel like I belong, and I need to feel that my voice is heard, and I need to believe in you. Like,
right.
I actually need to believe. Like, it's not just about showing up and getting a check. I got to believe in the mission. I got to believe in the people around me. And if I don't see that, I'm going to bounce.
Actually, you know what? That's actually a really good point. When we were growing up, the employer could count on our fealty just because that was the culture that our parents grew up in. They said,
exactly right.
hey, that's your boss. You do the right thing. You show up. It's a badge of honor that you're there early, blah, 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 blah. Today, those kids don't do that anymore, right?
Oh, it's a different animal.
So we have two dichotomies here.
Yes.
One, you have to learn how to lead in a modern world that says, I want to make this part, not familiar is wrong with comforting, inspirational, where accepting, where you're heard. And then at the same time, you have to be able to lead this individual who is not used to the pressures of being told what to do, being forced into teamwork. So you're almost like teaching them how to be a family member, right? In a disconnected, unconnected team, right?
100%.
And then building them into something new. Do you know where we're starting to see this? Cop world, right?
Really?
Like, think about this. So back in the day, if you got a cop and they passed like 5, 6, 7, 10 years, they're cops till retirement.
Yeah.
Now it's almost like when it's in the Army, I'll do an enlistment. I'll do 4 years, 5 years. I was a cop. I'm going to go do something else. They're not bought in the way that they used to be. So you're luring them in with higher salaries because that, I mean, to be honest with you, we paid cops and firefighters junk for years.
Absolutely.
But like here in Tampa, we're paying them a handsome salary. Yeah. But you're not seeing people necessarily say, I'm in it for 20. Right? They're in it for the experience. And people will decide if they're staying or going based on how their leaders make them feel, right? And again, in cop and fire world, if the higher these folks go in promotion, the more disconnected they seem to be. It's like they forgot, right? And they forgot what it was like to be a guy on the ground. And then next thing you know, they're pushing their old values on these new hires, and they're like, I'm not seeing you do it. I'm not seeing you follow through. You see it on the internet. There's I've seen a couple Instagram pages that call out chains of command who demand one thing and then do another. Wow. Like you'll see them like without vests, but they're required vests.
Right.
No magazines in their gun pouches. You're like, what? Yeah. Right. And so back in the day, you could be the boss, do whatever you wanted. Now your brand new cop is looking at you going, yo, you're telling me to do X for officer safety, but you don't even do it
yourself.
So if you're not doing it, why should I do it?
Yeah, of course.
So it used to be where that was okay. You just do what I say, not what I do. Those days
are over.
Are way over.
No,
especially for this generation.
Oh, absolutely. 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 All right. So I think we're there. Right. So closing.
Yep.
2 key points to drive home, right? About the value and the power of your word. What do you got?
So for me, if you as a leader do not believe that is your calling card, doing what you say, right? Letting your ears do most of the listening and your actions do your speaking, then you just have a lot of room to grow, right? It's not impossible. No. None of this is like, oh, you're a piece of junk leader because you don't do it. I just need you to understand, right, the value of following through with what you say and leading by example, right? It's vital to your success. It's also paramount to your failure. If you don't address it, there's only one way you're going, and that's not up.
100%.
Just for the record. What about you?
So value and power of hearts and minds. Listen,
Well said.
all of us, right? We are in the business of hearts and minds because we're in the business of being human beings. And from a communication perspective, if you don't understand that communication is a tool to build community, right? And key word there is to build. It doesn't mean it's all sunshine and rainbows.
Yeah.
But truly, like, it's building relationships. And the only way that you build a relationship is if you have salient trust, which means like trust that actually matters. Not surface level, like, oh yeah, that's my guy. Like, we're good.
Yeah.
No, like trust in the sense of, if I pick up this phone at 2 a.m, I know he's going to show up because he gave me his word that he's going to show up.
That's it.
Right. That right there, that is the essence of the beauty of being a human being, right? Like, to be able to
100%.
have that, right? So like, if you are finding yourself where you're having trouble with your commitments and following through on your commitments, to your point, it's not an end all. It's a red flag to say you need to take a step back and do an inventory, right? What do you have going on as far as values in your life? And what are you actually prioritizing with what you're going to follow through with? Because that is your brand as a person, right?
As a
That is how
leader.
people are going to remember your name when you're no longer here.
That's right.
Right? And that has a lot of weight.
That has a lot of weight. All right. Well, I guess we're done on another one.
That's it.
That's a great job,
Unstoppable
brother. That one fired
and
me up.
Unfiltered. No, I felt it, man. That was good, man. That was good. Unstoppable, Unfiltered. Thank you all so much for tuning in. This is Danny and Gino.